Hi, this is Mr. Manley. This is a second video in the Law of Sines and Law of Cosines series. In the first video, I looked at Law of Sines. In this video, I'm going to look at Law of Cosines. If you haven't already, take down all of the formulas for Law of Sines and Law of Cosines. And since we've already looked at Law of Sines, I'm just going to skip right up to what it looks like to be given a problem that we would use the Law of Cosines to solve. As with other problems, I don't like being given the triangle because the triangles are never given to scale. So I like to draw my own triangle. Here I'm going to draw the angle as I always do in the bottom left-hand corner. And I will give myself something approximating a 97 degree angle for angle C. And then I've got side A, which maybe I'll call this side A. And side B is over here, and it should be a little longer than side A, which is what my drawing already looks like. And then I'll connect these two out here and be looking for side C. Don't know what side C is yet. So you might be able to tell that in this case I can't use the law of sines. And if you looked at law of sines before and we looked at a table, the possible table of three pieces of information that we can be given. In this table, we see that if I'm given any of these circumstances, I use law of sines. And if I'm given either of these two, I need to start off with law of cosines. Well, in the case that we are looking at, we are given SAS. So we're going to use law of cosines. There you see it, side, angle, side, SAS. So what are we going to be able to find here? We're going to use, remember we have three different forms of the law of cosines. We're going to use this form here where I can solve for side C. So C squared is equal to 12 squared plus 17 squared minus 2 times 12 times 17 cosine of 97 degrees. And if you need to, you can refer to your formula that you wrote down and see how I plugged in the values here. And from there, it's simply a calculator key in. 22.0 for side C. 22.0. And then from there, I can go on and switch to the law of sines. Something that you might notice is that we can always use law of sines if we know an angle and its opposite side. Then I can get into those law of sines formulas. So using that here, I would find, say, angle A by saying sine A over 12 is equal to the sine of 97 degrees over 22. And then I'd be able to do the calculator key in from there to solve for angle A. 32.8 degrees over here. And angle B is easy, right? Don't even need to use law of sines anymore. I can just use the rule of 180. So minus, and that will give me angle B. I'm not going to do that calculation. You get the idea. So that's side, angle, side. And let's look at the final possibility here. This is a side, side, side. I'm going to create my own triangle. In this case where I'm not given an angle, I always like to put the longest side on the bottom, which in this case is A equals 63. And then I'm going to look and see, all right, I need a kind of shorter side and a side that's longer than that. Something like that, where the shorter side is B and the longer side is 38. All right, what I want to tell you here is that you should find the largest angle first. Very important to do that. If you don't, you may make an error. But if you find the largest angle first, I guarantee you will not make an error based upon the ways that you could make errors. Maybe you'll make some other error, but you won't make the error that I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and find that first angle, angle A. So using the law of cosines, think about how I'm going to build it. Maybe you want to look back at your formulas and see which formula I'm going to choose in order to find the largest angle first. Obviously, the largest angle is opposite the largest side. So I'm going to be finding angle A. Therefore, the plug-in for the formula goes 63 squared is equal to 38 squared plus 26 squared minus 2 times 38 times 26 cosine of A. I myself would probably just do a big calculator key-in from this point, but I'm going to show you the intermediate steps. So I'd say cosine A is equal to 63 squared minus 38 squared minus 26 squared. Follow that so far. Divided by negative 2 times 38 times 26. And that got me the cosine A isolated, right? And then angle A is equal to the inverse cosine of all of this. So now I'll do the calculator key-in for this. So there we have it, negative 0.9357. And then I do the calculator key-in for the inverse cosine of that value. And I get my angle of 159.3 degrees. Now from there, I can switch to law of sines. To find angle C, angle C, I'll say sine C over side C, which I know is 38, is equal to the sine of A, the 159.3 degree angle that I just found, over side A, which is 63. And then I'll just do that calculator key in and get that angle. I get 12.3 degrees. And of course, filling in here, I've got 159.3 degrees. Angle C is 12.3 degrees. And then I can find angle B by the rule of 180. 180, subtract, and I get 8.4 degrees. If any of that's moving too fast for you, that's one of the benefits of the video. You can stop, rewind, watch it again. If there's still an issue, that's where you want to write down a question and come prepared with that in class the next day. That closes out our instruction on law of sines and law of cosines. We've looked at every case that is possible. And I've given you two very important rules to keep an eye out for. One is in a side-side case, find the largest angle first. And then from the law of sines video, the special rule was in an ASS case, if we have ASS, you have to keep an eye out for ambiguity, but only if the given angle is acute. And then everything else should be pretty self-evident with these. So as usual, practice. And if you're having trouble, practice a little bit more. And I have a lot of confidence that you will be able to master law of sines and law of cosines problems.